Many dawns arrive while you still carry yesterday's uncertainty. And this sunrise asks whether you will linger in restless shadows or allow an awakening hope to unfold. In the pale hush before the sun rims the eastern edge, the world falls silent. The quiet invites a returning heart, and every gentle whisper of wind through palms beckons you toward the one whose mercy never fades. He stands as unshakable refuge, steadfast, radiant, unchanging, ready to cradle your weakness and breathe courage into your surrender. Here, you lay aside frantic plans, release guarded dreams, and prepare to take new steps aligned with his design. Because of the Lord's great love, you are not consumed, for his compassions never fail, they are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23a. These words reveal that sunrise is more than astronomy. Every beam proclaims faithfulness stronger than regret and invites trust that outshines fear. What burden presses hardest as the sky brightens? Which hidden longing is ready to rise into gratitude? Now, as your heart grows still, you step into. The first streak of amber slides across the horizon, and you realize daylight is not merely arriving, it is summoning you. You stand at the fragile margin where night exhales its last sigh and brilliance inhales its first. Everything around you waits to be named again. In that hush, the wind caresses your cheeks like warm water over stone, and the quiet grows spacious enough for hope to unfold. Your breathing slows, shoulders loosen, sight widens as new luminance pours over the walls, flows across the floorboards, then settles over your waiting heart. Outside, trembling leaves turn radiant faces toward the east. Tiny birds rehearse their first hymns, and even the distant rooftops appear to bow beneath the widening glow. Dawn's soft trumpet announces possibility, and you instinctively respond, aware that the same lamp illuminating city edges now reaches the dim corners of your soul. Listen to my voice in the morning, Lord. Each day I bring my requests to you and wait expectantly. Psalm 5:3. Expectation is not impatience. It is the poised confidence of a soul certain that petitions stretch beyond the skyline and return laden with favor. With that assurance, you unlatch the shutters of memory and motive. Pale shafts penetrate corners where self-protection once ruled lingering disappointments. Stray resentments, a crust of hurried decisions. Rather than hiding them, you allow brightness to expose and soothe, because light never condemns. It reveals so that you might see as God sees. A landscape primed for new growth. You release a whispered confession, not as surrender to defeat, but as declaration of willingness to be reforged. The glow settles upon those wounded places like balm, knitting frayed edges, dissolving harsh echoes, teaching you that holy fire can warm without consuming. Awakening now extends beyond perception. It redirects orientation. You pivot from anxiety's looping corridors toward a single unwavering gaze on the Father's face. Old scripts that dictated your pace, voices insisting you must earn worth or grip security, lose volume under dawn's expanding chorus of assurance. Every beam composes a silent benediction. You are sheltered, you are loved, you are sent. Your heartbeat syncs with that melody. Priorities realign, affections untangle. Imagination stretches toward what once seemed impossible. Where yesterday felt knotted with unfinished narratives, fresh strands of promise thread through your thoughts. Stitch courage to vision and fasten hope to each unfolding minute. Finally, you welcome the commissions embedded within the morning brilliance. Perhaps the hours ahead hold hard conversations, unnoticed service, or creative ventures still in seed form. Whatever the assignments, illumination equips you. You step forward remembering that the radiance guiding your path is the same presence dwelling within, unyielding, inventive, kind. When resistance whispers that nothing will change, you counter with the memory of this shining moment. Living proof that night yields every time light speaks. As you cross the threshold from stillness into movement, let your bearing echo dawn's testimony. Burdens can lift, failures can fade, and new mercies never run out. Walk under widening skies. Carry that awakening light into every hallway and allow it to spark awakening in other hearts, yet unlit. The light that woke you now pulls like a patient tide, drawing you inland from every shoreline where distraction once scattered devotion. A deep ache, part memory, part promise, urges you toward the embrace you left yet never lost. Each breath becomes a pivot, every heartbeat a footstep on an unseen trail back to the Father. Regrets attempt to tether your ankles, rehearsing reasons to remain distant. Yet mercy keeps widening the path ahead, its dew-washed stones sparkling like tiny beacons. You keep walking, sensing that the same sun gilding rooftops also warms your chilled resolve. With every step shame melts like mist. Though the journey is quiet, it is not small. It is the holy migration of the heart from exile to home. You pause at the wellspring of confession, letting living water rinse residue from thoughts that drifted through darker seasons. The name of Christ rests on your tongue with honeyed gravity, every syllable unlocking the gates of fellowship. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. Forgiveness is not a tentative hope. It is covenant certainty, as reliable as sunrise. Cleansing follows disclosure the way dawn follows night. Inevitable, gentle, complete. With shame dissolved, you survey the contours of your inner landscape and find it not empty but ready. Soil softened by gracious rain. Memories of rescue return, the unexpected provision during last month's shortage, the comforting presence at a hospital vigil, the calm that steadied trembling hands in a boardroom. Gratitude sprinkles these recollections like seeds awaiting germination. As you gather them, they weave a garland declaring that no wandering can erase heritage. You belong, still and always, to unfailing love. Returning also requires listening. You hush internal commentary long enough to catch the thin melody beneath ordinary sound. A kettle beginning to sigh, leaves brushing the window, distant traffic humming. Inside those commonplace notes pulses a sacred rhythm whispering, "You are mine." You trace it to its source and feel the Spirit's assurance expand beneath your ribs. In that widening space courage unfurls. You dare to picture reconciliation where estrangement lingers, and to craft conversations painted by gentleness instead of defense. Yet the path home stretches beyond intention. It reshapes outward choices. You arrange today's schedule so the first fruit of attention points toward heaven rather than toward a screen. Notifications lose tyranny as you lace moments of quiet through tasks, guarding affection. Even walking between rooms, you practice micro returns. A whispered thank you. A surrendered plan, an expectant glance. Each small pivot stitches the fabric of the mundane to eternity. turning corridors and email threads into pilgrimage ground. Finally, you rehearse a vow, though hours scatter your body across obligations. Your soul will keep facing home. Should anxiety jostle your compass, you will turn again, 10, 20, 100 times, because returning is less an event than a practiced rhythm. Like a compass needle that trembles yet finds magnetic north, your affections may wobble yet will settle toward presence. And as you persist, watch dawn swell into full day. The radiance that summoned you will pour through you, signaling to every searching eye that mercy welcomes wanderers without measure. The sun has cleared the ridge, yet the light still feels tender, wrapping rooftops and treetops in soft apricot glow. In that hush, you catch a breeze that slips through half-open windows and brushes your cheek like a secret. Within it, a nearly inaudible whisper tells you that steadfast care surrounds every hour ahead. You pause, letting that murmur settle deeper than the clamor of errands, until even the ticking clock seems to breathe with you in quiet rhythm. Each inhale becomes an act of reliance, drawing strength, releasing strain. You picture roots drinking from hidden springs, unseen yet essential, and realize your own vitality depends on this inner wellspring of communion. Concerns still hover at the edge of thought, yet they no longer dictate tempo. They wait their turn beside a presence that defines reality. The gentle voice leads, not with shouts, but with assurance so solid that fear finds no foothold. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Strength does not begin in muscle or strategy. It blossoms where surrender meets fidelity. The still place you choose becomes the forge where courage is tempered for the road ahead. You allow that truth to reverberate across yesterday's riddles. Unanswered emails, medical results still pending, relationships strained by misunderstanding. Instead of rehearsing imagined outcomes, you let serenity re-script the storyline. Possibilities stretch wider when guided by wisdom beyond your own. The whisper names you not as operator of the universe, but as beloved child, free to lean on arms far stronger than any circumstance. Soon you notice how posture influences perception. Shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched, eyes lifted beyond screens. You taste the subtle sweetness of trust, an expanding chest, a lighter gait, a willingness to greet strangers with warmth instead of guarded efficiency. Though deadlines remain, they no longer masquerade as masters. They are simply segments of a day already resting in divine oversight. The voice invites not passivity, but bold obedience. You recall an overdue apology, a prompting to encourage a colleague, an inner nudge to steward resources with generosity. Each directive seems small, yet obedience in hidden corners composes a symphony of faithfulness. Confidence grows with every yes, and the whisper becomes easier to recognize, like a familiar melody threading through the noise of traffic and headlines. Doubts still attempt cameo appearances. What if the provision runs thin? What if disappointment repeats? You answer them not with elaborate arguments, but with remembered encounters. Time's rescue arrived at the 11th hour, and peace guarded your mind when logic failed. Testimonies stand as living stones, marking ground already taken so uncertainty cannot redraw boundaries. Before moving on, you sketch a quick note or silent vow. Today I choose steady reliance, attentive listening, courageous follow through. You close your eyes once more, let breath slow, and imagine carrying that whisper through hallways, marketplaces, and phone calls, its cadence guiding tone, decision, and pace. When evening comes, you will trace the thread of grace woven through every interaction and marvel at how such quiet guidance produced a day radiant with purposeful calm. You reach the moment when streets hum and notifications pulse, yet the Spirit calls you to unclench the day before you lift a single tool. In the stillness that lingers after prayer, you picture your schedule as an overflowing basket. Gently you tip it, watching meetings, budgets, and errands spill like pebbles onto a riverbank. The stream of grace slides beneath, carrying each demand downstream until only the empty basket remains. Light enough for fresh purpose. A warm breeze drifts through the doorway, stirring curtains like sails, and you sense that relinquishment is not loss but readiness. A room is made for provision when ownership loosens its grip. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny self, take up a cross daily, and follow me. See Luke 9:23. Daily does not mean drudgery, it means rhythm. Surrender becomes the steady cadence that aligns footsteps with divine pacing, freeing you to travel unburdened. You breathe deeply, naming hidden impulses that crave control, desire to impress, instinct to fix every crisis, fear of scarcity. Each confession feels like removing stones from a backpack. Weight lessens, lungs expand. With palms upturned, you invite heaven's creativity to reorder priorities. Difficult conversation here, quiet study there, margin for unexpected mercy woven between. The release feels counterintuitive, yet a quiet certainty grows that tasks managed by omniscience will flourish more than those gripped by anxiety. As morning advances, surrender acquires shape in ordinary choices. You silence a buzzing phone to listen fully to the child recounting a dream. You let a colleague's sharp remark pass without retaliation, trusting justice to kinder hands. You choose a slower lane on the highway, allowing mindfulness to replace hurry. Each act resembles laying one more brick on an unseen altar, where fragrance rises from obedience rather than from spectacular achievement. Gradually, the altar itself becomes portable. You carry it through corridors and conference rooms, turning every circumstance into worship. Deeper still, you yield outcomes. Prayers released at dawn might bloom today, next year, or in ways imagination cannot script. Surrender accepts all timelines. You rest attention on the sparrows tracing patterns across the sky and remember that not one falls unnoticed. Assurance settles. The God who counts feathers and petals also charts your progress. Even waiting seasons shimmer with purpose when filtered through sovereign love. Contentment starts to feel less like resignation and more like quiet triumph. Trust filled to the brim. Before stepping into the full glare of mid-morning, you seal this hour with spoken resolve. Not my will, but yours. Again and again until twilight. Then you inhale the scent of brewed coffee, hear the distant laughter of neighbors, and embrace the adventure of yielded living. Expect courtyards of kindness to open where doors once seemed barred, and anticipate strength rising precisely where you laid control down. For every sunrise that invites surrender also escorts you into spacious freedom, and your lightened stride will testify to anyone watching that release is the gateway to abundant life. The day unfurls like a scroll beneath your sandals, every line glowing with promise, beneath disciplined mid-morning light. You sense surrendered plans turning into purposeful motion, as though unseen hands align each stride with an ancient melody. Street lamps blink off, pigeons launch from cornices, and a hush of expectancy trails your heels. Creation seems to recognize a traveler guided by more than instinct. You are not haunted by uncertainty, for the one who arranged constellations also scripts intersections, timing them with flawless precision. Before you take the first decisive turn, you recall the promise. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Proverbs 3:6. Guidance is not a vague hope, it is precise architecture, shaping corners, synchronizing traffic lights, arranging encounters exactly when courage needs reinforcement. With that assurance, you step onto the avenue of obligations, emails awaiting reply, errands demanding efficiency, voices requesting counsel. Yet each assignment becomes a waypoint rather than a wait. You pause at crosswalks to detect subtle nudges, speak kindness to the wary cashier. Choose patience when technology falters, linger long enough to notice a colleague's guarded eyes. Moments that once felt random turn into deliberate strands woven by sovereignty. Obstacles appear, an unexpected delay, a terse message, a carefully laid plan unraveling. But you greet them like river stones that simply redirect current without halting flow. Instead of resisting frustration, you listen for fresh instructions carried on the breeze. Adapt here, wait there, pivot with peace. The map in your mind grows fluid, painted with lines of trust rather than ink of certainty. Detours become scenic ridges, revealing vistas hidden from the hurried. Some directions arrive as clear sentences in conscience. Others surface through circumstance. A cancelled meeting granting prayerful margin, a song echoing last night's petition, a verse illuminated while waiting in line. You learn to treat these convergences like signposts: pause, ponder, proceed. Discernment sharpens with practice. The way repeated footsteps carve clarity through forest undergrowth. What once seemed coincidence matures into symphony, each note tuned by divine wisdom. Guidance also governs pace. When adrenaline urges acceleration, you feel a gentle braking that reminds you fruit ripens by steady sun, not frantic heat. You insert margins. 5 quiet breaths before answering. A brief walk under plane, tree shade between tasks, a glass of water savored rather than gulped. Each measured interval becomes sacrament, honoring the shepherd who never drives you beyond grace's capacity. As afternoon light softens, you notice footprints of provision behind you. The timely seat on a crowded bus, the phrase that sparked creativity, the budget line suddenly balanced. Gratitude swells, confirming that guidance leaves traces as real as dew on morning grass. You record them in thought, erecting private memorials so tomorrow's challenges will meet a heart rehearsed in remembrance. Near day's end, your reflection in a glass door reveals posture relaxed and eyes bright with quiet confidence. Guided living has altered bearing. Peace marks your countenance like sunlight on water. Others may glimpse only calm, yet heaven sees alignment, an ongoing dance between sovereign direction and willing feet. You smile, whisper thanks, and lift your face toward lengthening rays, ready for the next instruction when dawn returns. Mid-afternoon gold lingers on window panes, and you notice how the sun's arc mirrors your own journey. From tentative dawn to confident blaze, until thankfulness presses against your ribs, seeking release. Joy does not shout, it streams like clear water through ordinary cracks, the scent of fresh bread drifting from a bakery, the steady cadence of your heartbeat, the unexpected message from a friend who simply wrote, "Thinking of you." Awareness sharpens. Suddenly even mundane details shimmer with significance. The stapler on your desk reminds you of reliable work. The worn mug testifies to countless refills of warmth. The steady hum of ventilation sings a quiet hymn of shelter. Gratitude becomes a lens, coloring every object with benevolence and turning the day into a mosaic of undeserved gifts. You decide generosity is gratitude's most eloquent dialect. Coins jingle into a donation jar, but giving extends far beyond currency. You offer undivided attention to a lonely neighbor, extend patient silence to a co-worker still forming words. Share well-worn wisdom with someone just beginning the path you once walked. Each act resembles lighting a candle from the flame entrusted to you, multiplying brightness without diminishing your own. As faces soften under unexpected kindness, your spirit swells with wonder, how abundance grows by dispersal, how love increases through expenditure. Moments ago, you carried worries like small stones, now they appear light enough to skip across water. Not every problem is solved, yet perspective shifts. Challenges frame opportunities for grace to display fresh artistry. You recall times when sufficiency arrived disguised as delay, when closed doors redirected you toward gardens of greater fruitfulness. Those memories intertwine with the present like vines around a trellis, supporting and shaping fresh blossoms of confidence. Gratitude, you discover, is both memory and prophecy, honoring past mercy while anticipating tomorrow's hidden favor. As sunlight angles lower, you step outside. Leaves flutter overhead like thousands of tiny flags, celebrating invisible sovereignty. You breathe the crisp scent of pavement cooling beneath shade and feel creation's pulse resonating with your own. A quiet vow forms, to carry this thankful posture into dusk and beyond, refusing to allow cynicism a foothold. Should shadows lengthen into difficulty, you will answer them with catalogues of goodness, converting recollection into shield. The clock's hands inch toward evening tasks, yet you pause once more at the threshold, letting gratitude crystallize into prayer. All I have, and all I am finds source in you. May every exhale echo that truth. You turn the doorknob, ready to walk into unfolding hours, confident that the same radiance filling your chest will illuminate whatever corridors await. People may ask what fuels your calm, and you will simply smile, knowing light explains itself by shining. You have risen from first light to full blaze, exchanging anxiety for assurance, control for surrender, and fear for grateful expectancy. Hold this stillness a moment longer, feel the quiet strength in your spine, the slow rhythm of breathing, the promise woven through each detail of the day. Let remembrance guard perspective and thanksgiving guide every word. Ask yourself, who can receive a spark of this peace before sunset? Now, release that thought into action.